as we're getting into our next match. Vetoes are now done, and our next ZvZ is upon us. Here we go, spawning in the top right-hand corner of Royal Blood. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Team Abydos. It is Mondo. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, going for the 15 hatch. Let's go, Bobby. We have the Brazilian Zerg player representing the CranKy Ducklings. It is Erik. Vámonos, Bobby, vámonos. Our second match is upon us. There's our lovely 15 hatch into another gas trick, into a 15 pool, I imagine, as well. Oh boy. So yeah, Erik has had quite a ZvZ showcase before us. He's been able to have Dark's number and knock him down more than once, but twice. First in a 2-1 fashion and then in a 2-0 fashion. So Erik has some world-class ZvZ, but how will that shape up against Mondo? Because Mondo, I don't really think he's too familiar with Erik. Mondo is a very solid player in his own right, as we saw previously. And yeah, we'll see how this kind of dynamic shapes up between these two players. I still want to favor Erik overall, but Mondo, I'm sure, can bring something else to the table. We have seen Erik from time to time caught off guard, sometimes overconfident as well. It has happened before. We were able to see that a couple of weeks ago when Erik went up against, not Silky, what's his name? Slip? Or, oh god, it was an American player with like S for an, I think it was Slip. I think it was like a random player, or maybe I'm thinking of Yo-Yo. Regardless, a couple of weeks ago, Erik did kind of meet his end to a random player that rolled Zerg. So yeah, wish him the best here. He's going to need it as he goes up against Mondo. A couple of Lings are going to be moving out. We're just going to be focusing on droning for the time being, despite the 15 hatch and 15 pool opener. Erik just going to be focusing on those queens. Meanwhile, across the map, Mondo does come across this opener, did scout it with his Overlord, is aware of what's going on, and nothing too fancy from Mondo. He does keep 2 drones in gas, so he will have a faster Baleen nest available to him. As the Lings of Erik rock up across the map a little bit earlier, is going to be dancing here with that drone. Going to be making Mondo work for it as Erik goes for a very fast roach war, and he's looking to skip the Lingbane portion of the game, taking a second gas geyser as well, just to facilitate those roaches. It's a lot of gas really early on, not gonna lie. As the Lings do just confirm the third base timing, they confirm the Baleen nest as well, and Erik will back off from here, but oh, Mondo does go for the cancel. And he's going for some cheekiness of his own. Oh my god. So curious, Mondo is just now scanning the Roach Warren. He didn't know about it earlier, but now he's aware of that Warren. Back at home, Mondo going for an Evo Chamber. He can go into +1 melee, he can go into mass Lings, which can do well. But yeah, I agree with this. After seeing that Roach one, he's going to be throwing down his own. Boy, again, this Evo Chamber really won't come into play for the initial fight. The Roaches are already going to be moving out across the map. Erik is going to be flooding Lings behind this. Baleen Nest should finish up by the time this army does hit. And Erik, he's getting a lair and a 3rd and 4th gas. Oh my god. This could be for Roaches, and I imagine it will be with that Evo Chamber, but he could even facilitate Mutas. Before that happens, the first couple of Roaches are being surrounded. We do have some quick morphs on those Ravagers, though. We do see Lings coming in to reinforce. 1 Roach will go down. I love it. Again, Erik is aware that his big vulnerability is going to be surrounds from those Lings, so we do morph into a couple of Banelings. It's going to be all about the control. It's going to be all about the positional play here of Mondo. He has to be very careful to avoid those Banelings. As Erik is moving on in. Up! The Queen's going to try and snipe him. Erik barely able to pull them back in time. Oh, those Queens want those Banelings, and 1 Baneling will go down. We do get a decent surround on those Queens. Baneling does go off on some of those things, but it looks like Mondo should have more than enough to defend. He gets on top of the roaches. He gets on top of the ravagers as well. Only one ravager will survive. And Mondo holds on. Meanwhile, I was curious. Because we took all 4 gases, I was like, this is too much gas for a 2-base roach, I feel. And especially when we only have 1 Evo chamber. And we have confirmation Erik is indeed going for a lair. Sorry, going for a spire. He's already got the lair. So he's going to be getting into muta play alongside roaches as well. So this means that Erik should only be making around 5 to 6 mutas, ideally 5 mutas. That is enough to get map control. That's also enough to one-shot workers as well. And behind that, he's going to be pumping out a roach army. But Mondo is going to be looking to deny a third base if there is one. Threaten the natural as well. Up. More roaches are about to rook up. Mondo is droning behind this and taking quite a worker lead. Oh, the Lings, they get us around. They want the Ravager. Ooh, and they will get said Ravager. Mondo does overextend a little bit and is going to be bleeding out some of these roaches. Behind this, Erik does have a gas bank working on that mineral bank as well. The Spire is now done, and there we go. Mutas are on the way. So Erik's getting a much later hatchery, but because we're getting into muta play, a lot of these overlords are going to be going down, and that's a lot of resources going to be going in favor of Erik. Oh. Just have to be careful. He moves out, he forces a reaction, he forces a Ling Roach army to be made by Mondo, and Erik should be backing off from here. He doesn't want to get caught out. The mutas are going to force a massive reaction out of Mondo, and Erik has to make sure he's actually prepared for that. The mutas have arrived. Oh, this is not a good move as the Lings get a surround, and a lot of these roaches are going to be going down. They're going to try and escape, but no, the positioning from Mondo is just a little bit too good. Oof. And it looks like only 2 roaches that will survive. The mutas dive immediately into that mineral line. Going to be looking to focus down as many drones as they can. 2 workers go down. No mining here in the main base. Queens are rotating over. There's not enough energy for transfuse. Up, up. Ooh. There it is, a transfuse from the low ground. Mutas are trickling on in. There was a spore in the main, but there's no spore at the natural. At the same time, behind this, we're making roaches. We do see Mondo was setting up for a counterattack, but oh my god, the mutas are getting out of control. They get into the third. I love this. Like Erik, he initially pulled all the queens to the main base, forced a spore, just rotate over in between the natural and the third base, and he's just picking Mondo apart. Mondo still has a worker lead, bear that in mind. Meanwhile, back at home, Erik just mustering up that roach army. Oh my god, and finally it looks like the queens will be forcing these mutas out, but not before 18 workers go down. Ay, ay, ay. Erik, now that the drones have fallen, Erik can now focus on sniping these overlords. This is what I love, is that Erik had such a big prioritization of getting economic damage first, and then can clean up all these overlords, which he's going to get for free. 2 overlords already go down. We have an overseer and a second overseer here on the left-hand side of the map as well. Behind this, Mondo is going into Hydras, into Roach Hydra, but Erik doesn't care about mutas. Not anymore. He's going into Roach play. Not just that, but we have Jumper Lords. Oh, but do we have Overlord speed? We do. Erik. Oh my god. As more of these overseers are going to be going down, the Drop Lords are set up to dive into the main base. What do we have here to defend? We have the Roach Hydra army being pulled away on the left-hand side of the map. I love this from Erik. He's, again, pulling away the attention, forcing the army out of position as Erik gets into the main. Completely unscouted. Again, the mutas made sure that there were no overlords in position. The roaches dive on in, and this base is forfeit. 6 drones go down. Looks like the rest of the roaches are going to get here in time, but we can just pick up and go back into the overlords, and that's exactly what we do. At the same time, another hit squad here at the third base, cleaning up the Lings, not really getting into the mineral line though. It looks like we have more than enough to defend with the queens, but I spoke too soon. The roaches are breaking on through as Erik dives back in. At the same time, the mutas are getting on top of the roaches of Mondo. Erik is all over this. The Hydras are going to do what they can, but Erik is focusing down the lair, and he gets the lair. The main base does fall. The roaches on the left-hand side have gotten out of control. They get the queens. They get the hydras as well. And this is becoming a little bit too much. To be fair, even though Mondo is now on 2 bases, he has a worker disadvantage. He has a large army. He's going to be going all in. He's moving out across the map with everything he has. Mondo ahead in army supply. Ahead in upgrades as well. Without mutas, oh, Erik is going to have a hard time holding. He did throw away his mutas earlier. Mondo can still make some magic happen. He's trying to push on through, and we do have a couple of bios to deter him. They will give Erik some time. Erik, he has the concave. He has a smaller army. He has to be careful. He's overextending. Oh, he's forcing some micro out of his opponent. But more roaches are flooding across the map, and Erik is being forced back. Again, I do think he pushed forward a little bit too much. It's a little bit too cavalier, but time is on his side. As more time goes on, more roaches are coming out. We do have the roach hydra of Mondo breaking into the natural. Voids are being pulled. We can afford to lose some workers. And the bios will fall. Oh my god. The bios cause a little bit of friendly fire as well. It's going to be a close hold, but it looks like with the reinforcements, with the bios, Erik barely has enough to hold on. He did lose an entire mineral line, but he holds. At the same time, we have a couple of roaches in the main base as well. The AI is derping out though, so not too much damage is being done. GG gets called. Whew. Erik barely holds on and takes game number 1. GG. My god. Oh my god. I see the chat. Guys, remember, Dark has never won a series versus Erik so far in his entire career. True. Dark has a 100% loss rate against Erik. You're not wrong. Not wrong. As Erik does take game 1. Oh, GG. That was pretty close though. Like, I appreciate all of the tech switches. I appreciate everything that was done by Erik to just kind of go for all these twists and turns and keep Mondo guessing. I love the setup as well for the mutas to not just get economic damage, but also make sure that there were no overlords in position to actually scout the drop lord play as well, and for all of it to just come together and make sense. You know, we had the mutas harassing the mineral lines, the drop lords coming into the main. We had the main army, the main ground army of Erik just threatening the 3rd base and eventually breaking through as well. There was just chaos all over the map, and Mondo was having a hard time keeping up. He did end up having a decent army towards the end, and that last push was pretty threatening, but we saw Erik was barely able to hold on. Now we're heading into game number 2. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Babylon, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Team Arbidos, currently down in this series. It is Mondo. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Brazilian Zerg player representing the CranKy Ducklings. What does he stand for? He stands for endurance, righteousness, intellect, and kangaroo. Representing the CranKy Ducklings, it is Erik. Let's go, puppy. Let's go. A solid game 1 there out of Erik. A little bit shaky towards the end, but solid nonetheless. Meanwhile, his opponent, if he didn't know who Erik was before, now I'm sure he's a little bit wise to him. A little bit more on notice. Mondo aware that he has to bring his A game to the table. If you recall, at the beginning of game 1, Mondo was going for his own build. He was trying to go for a Ling Flood. He was trying to go for plus on melee. I believe that was the intent of the cancelled Baneling Nest into that fast Evo chamber, but alas, he had to switch gears just because of Erik's faster Roach Warren play. Again, Erik just causing a lot of chaos early on, forcing these weird reactions, and Mondo just trying to find his footing. So we have a hatch gas pool opener from Mondo. Meanwhile, Erik does go for the 15 hatch into the 15 pool into the gas. It is going to mean that Erik's gas is a little bit later compared to Mondo, of course, but he is going to have faster queens, is going to have faster creep spread as well. As we are getting into this. Oh, I'm jamming out a little bit, not going to lie. Look, it's early in the morning, Papi. We just wake up. We got 3 hours of sleep. Casted OSC King of the Hill last night. Now we're here once again with some more StarCraft, and we're good to go, Papi. We're good to go. Game 1 definitely waking us up. Game 2 looking to take us even further as, oh my god. So Erik, the madman himself, has skipped link speed, skipped the Bailey Nest, and going straight into a very fast lair. Behind this is going to be walling off on 2 bases. Mondo going to try and get a scout off. One link does go down, but the second link, is denied entry into the main base. Mondo has no idea what is going on. Behind this, Mondo is going for a 3rd base on time. Should be going for a Bailey Nest as well. I say that. He did scout the Roach Warren as a part of the wall, so Mondo should know that he can skip the Bailey Nest, and he is going for that faster Evo chamber instead. But Mondo is still unawares about the timing of that lair. He's going to be trying to slip in with those lings. The wall, delayed. Is still not a wall. These 4 lings will make it past the queen and get into the main. With that, we have a full scout. We do get confirmation of the fast lair. And this could be for a multitude of things. This could be for fast roach speed, which roach speed is started up here for Erik. Could be for mutas as well, but we only have 3 gases being taken. Interestingly enough, we don't have an Evo chamber. Again, I was really shocked to see that Erik didn't wall off, as the wall is going to be a little bit delayed instead. Meanwhile, Mondo with that faster Evo chamber isn't going to be doing too much with it. After seeing the faster lair, he's rushing into his own lair, getting his own Roach Warren on the way as well. And there's that faster +1 range. So Mondo will have better upgrades overall, but Erik will have, he will have faster roaches. In more ways than one. So Erik is already working on his Roach army. He's saturated on his 2 bases. We have Roach speed on the way and Overlord speed. And you know what that means? That means Dropalords. That means we're going to be seeing a drop heading in towards the main base momentarily. Overlords getting in position. The Overseer just checking saturation, confirming all the queens. As the Overseer barely does escape. And we'll see if we do set up some of these Dropalords as well. The Roach is just going to be active on the map. Again, Erik will have more of them faster than his opponents. And he's looking to try and flex that. He's looking to try and get on top of some of these queens. But there are lings here waiting for him. And Erik has to be careful not to get surrounded. We do see lings coming in from behind. The stutter stepping is looking to be good enough though, and Erik does avoid the surround. And now he can dance with the army again, flexing that roach speed. Speaking of Dropalords, we do have them being morphed in here in the center of the map, while Erik does pull apart the attention of his opponent, and he does pick up a couple of drones here and there. He's going to be looking to pull apart that attention and slip into the main. He is getting surrounded though, and a good chunk of roaches are going to be going down here on the left-hand side of the map. Erik a little bit inattentive as he's focusing on his drop. And now I worry a little bit because Mondo is going for a counterattack. Roach speed is about to kick in, as well as +1 range. The drop in the main is going to do a lot of damage, but Erik has to focus on his defense back at home. Mondo turns around. Wow, he was in the middle of a counterattack. Okay, he still is going to be focusing on set attack. Meanwhile, Roach's drones are going down in the main base of Mondo, as Erik does pick up. Third base is on the way. Does Erik have enough to hold on, though? He does have the upgrade disadvantage. But with the reinforcements, it looks like he does have enough to force Mondo back. And after all said and done, Mondo still has a bit of a worker lead. He's going to have a slightly faster +2 as well. But Erik isn't done. From Drop Lord play, from the skies we go underground. We're going to be going for Burrow and Tunneling Claws. I love this. So these Drop Lords are going to be forcing Mondo to keep supply here in the main. Meanwhile, a massive army is amassing here towards the south. Same can be said for Mondo, as Mondo does see all of this with his Overlord. Mondo so far is doing a decent job at keeping up here with the movement of Erik. Meanwhile, Erik, he turns back around with the majority of his army. He has a hit squad here on the left-hand side. He has a Drop Lord squad towards the right, a drop even. And as he waits for Burrow, I imagine he's going to be sending the main portion of his army through the center into the natural base of Mondo. Oh my god, this is a little bit premature. He reveals Burrow! Oh, I don't know about this. You have the Overseer on the way. Drop Lords come back into the main base. The Queen is going to be going down. And we have Tunneling Claws already, but yeah, detection is here. And we got a couple of drones, and we're gonna be able to get a couple more. 9 drones in total do go down, but was that worth it? I feel like we could have gotten a little bit more out of this. I think Erik was forced to reveal his Burrow because he got surrounded here and he didn't want to lose all these roaches for free. So it was an unfortunate event that did force Erik to reveal it. As he's setting up a massive... Oh my god. As he's setting up a Doom Drop into the main. Alright, okay. Fair enough, fair enough. As the Doom Drop is getting set up, we have our main army as well being revealed here to Mondo. Oh, a contamination on the third base. You love to see it. Something you don't see too often, to be honest. Kind of weird to see a Zerg building contaminated, but it's fine, it's fine. Drop Lords are looking to dive on in. Mondo getting ready in between his bases as we do drop on top of the roaches. Erik taking a better fight. His main army looking to threaten the third base, but no, Mondo does react in time. Does reposition. Both armies looking pretty comparable. Mondo does have a larger army overall. Or a larger roach army, I should say. Oh, I love this. The Drop Lords are going to be threatening the main base, keeping so much supply kept up in the main, tied up in the main. While Erik goes for a cheeky move heading towards maybe even the natural, maybe just focusing on the main army. Oh, and here we go. We do go for the on-burrow. Erik trying to dive on top of this. He does have the supply advantage. Again, a lot of the supply is still here in the main. Mondo thinks that those overlords are full. But despite that, we do see Mondo still taking a better fight overall. As I say that, the concave is now going in favor of Erik. We do see, there we go, a couple of roaches are being sent on over. Mondo has now realized that he has been juked. Juked even. And Erik doesn't quite have enough to overwhelm in the end. He is going to be forced back. Again, a lot of supply was still tied up here in the main base, but despite that, Erik still did not have enough to break through. He is forced to turn back around. I love the move, though. Again, just forcing Mondo to commit army into the main when there was no need for it. Alas, if the supplies were a little bit closer, I'm sure that would have gone in Erik's favor. Now Erik backs off, rotates around, and now focuses on the drop. Now Mondo's wondering to himself, is that drop, is that full? Or is it not? I don't know anymore. How could he know? So we are just going to be carpet bombing on top of this army. Well, we have reinforcements coming in. Erik has to load up and get out of there. Behind this, we're getting our fourth base up and running for both players. We're tied up 2-1 in upgrades. Even upgrades here as well. Erik with a slight worker lead. And yeah, Erik's just still trying to pull Mondo apart with the pure Roach army. Erik going to be the first player to max out. This is scary. So I like the idea of Erik threatening a drop into the main, coming in with his army and dropping at the third base instead. Overwhelming this supply here of Mondo and just looking to break that third. Like, Mondo, he's being spread too thin. He's got an army here towards the south. He doesn't see Erik coming in. And there's that drop lord. Here we go. We do force a cancel onto the fourth base. We can pick up from here and go straight back into the main. Mondo being forced to just awkwardly split up his army. And again, Erik doesn't have to commit to the main. He can... Oh, God, no! He can drop on the main army of Mondo instead. He's got options, Papi. He's got options. Oh my god. I love this. It's so smart. Well, for the time being, again, Erik, he's just forcing or containing his opponent to 3 bases. Once again, going to be threatening that drop into the main and does commit to the drop as well. Ooh, but he takes a bile to the face, and I don't really know if this is going to work out well for him. It looks like the drop in the main does overwhelm the forces, but we have reinforcements coming in. Erik will still take a better fight. But now he's going to have to pick up and get out of there. Now, I am concerned about one thing, and that is carapace. We have +2 carapace on the way from Mondo, and Erik has forgotten his upgrades. He has the resources for it. He has plenty of minerals and gas in the bank, but he hasn't started +2. So Mondo will be trading better, even with equal army supplies. Erik has to rely on something else instead. He's going for the infestation pit. He's going to be going for the hive. We'll give him access to +3. Here we go. He rotates over towards the bottom left-hand corner of the map. Mondo does spot this. He's going to be rotating over as well. Meanwhile, we have a massive Doom drop into the main base once again. Enough to overwhelm Mondo, but +2 carapace is kicking in and is going to force Erik back. Ooh, this is going to be a costly fight here for Erik as well. He does take down the base, but he loses a lot of roaches. He needs time to rebuild. He needs time to remax. He's making 25 roaches as we speak, but he doesn't have them yet. There we go. The bile going to be buying him a little bit of time. More reinforcements are coming in as well, but Mondo is looking to break on through. He's laying siege upon that fourth base. You see roaches coming in from behind, catching the reinforcements. But who is surrounding who as Mondo also comes in? It looks like he barely has enough to force Erik back. He's getting on top of the base itself. Miles forcing Erik back even more. Force to pull the boys. And it looks like Mondo may have just done it. The fourth base is going to be going down, and the mineral line falls as well. Erik trying to amass an army, but just needed more time. And he is about to get surrounded. We do see Erik diving on top of the Ravagers, though, so he's going to be able to take a bit of a better fight. Oh, he does have the defender's advantage. He has a bank as well, but does he have the larva? Does he have the injects? It looks like he does. Oh, GG gets called. Erik will hold on, and he'll take the 2-0. Oh, GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Very fancy moves out of Erik. Going for Drop a Lord play, going for Burrow and Tunneling Claws. I think the biggest thing though is that I love the way that he was using those Drop a Lords. More often than not, he was kind of faking out a drop, forcing supply to be tied up, or just playing with the idea of threading a drop into the main and going to the third base instead, and just overwhelming these small groups of army of Mondo as well. It's a very unique way of playing that out, and I'm sure Mondo is very unfamiliar with it, just because it's so out of the box and so out of the norm, but it makes sense. That's the thing, it just makes so much sense to be threading those drops and to be pulling back and amassing an army like that. It's just, yeah, so unique and so beautiful to see. GG, well played. Well played by Erik, as he takes the series 2-0 and moves on to the next round. And now we're going to see Erik versus Gumiho again. We've casted that like 2 weeks in a row. My god. What's with the seeding? As we do have a look at that bracket. Again, GG, congratulations Erik. My condolences to Mondo, as Mondo is of course a great player in his own right, and I'm a fan as well. I do appreciate it whenever he does compete in these events. But again, I hope that he doesn't take this loss too badly, because Erik, hey, he's taken down Dark. He's taken down Dark multiple times, you know, so no shame in falling to Erik in a ZvZ. No shame, no shame. As we are getting into our next game, yeah, Gumiho did 2-0 Neo Shaggy and is now going up against Erik. Again. God damn. Every time, Bobby, every time.